It's been really interesting to see the various different contingents and points of view come to fore and then evolve over time. A few things I noticed were that some folks were really against closing the beach, and some folks were very strongly wanting to open the beaches. And the positions were all over the map. In some cases, you found the virus deniers, the folks who believe President Trump that it's more like just a flu. Those folks tended to want the beaches open, but that changed. Okay, so let me get back to that. So they wanted the beaches open because the virus is not as bad as everybody says it is. Fresh air is good. We all need to get out, which is all true. However, the issue, of course, is crowds and human density. It's not about the beach. It's not about the wind. It's not about the sand. It's about human density. And one of the things that I noticed, because I walk through there every single day, all through Miramar and Surfers Beach, was it wasn't the beach so much that was a problem. It was the getting to the beach. And it was all the people around the parking lots, close together, no masks, no social distancing, yapping loudly, carrying all their beach stuff. And I actually felt bad for those people because they were being misinformed. But what's interesting is we yelled and screamed from every point of view for weeks and weeks about, one, it's impossible to close the beaches, that's martial law, and two, that people have a right to use the beaches. Well, what happened is, as the more and more people started coming, because as you know, San Mateo kind of opened pretty early in May, I believe, when they kind of did the reopen, and it went a little too fast, in my opinion. And we started seeing crowds every weekend, and pretty intense crowds, lots of people, and there's nothing we could do about it. Magically, about a week ago, I saw some messaging from Brent Turner on Nextdoor, a little over a week ago, and today is the 5th. Brent was saying, we need to close these beaches. It's unhealthy for the public. We need to do it. It's the right thing to do. And of course, my first reaction was, good luck, buddy. I've been working on this for a while, in the forums, and got really very little support. I don't know how he did it, but Brent, maybe Mayor Eisen and Horsley and the whole crew on their own decided to, but magically they did exactly what they needed to do. They put up great signage, they got it into the news. I think closing the beaches was the key. Closing the parking lots doesn't make the news, but closing the beaches does. They had extra police forces, and they had people at the entry points. It was almost perfect.
I think how we got here was by failing to observe best health and safety practices, and by failing to plan for the contingency of a spike in the virus. So luckily, some good citizen action work coupled with some local officials playing into key roles, we were able to dissuade people from coming out this weekend until we get our arms around the data and make sure that we're not really doing a tremendous disservice to the community, which it appears we would be by having a party in the middle of the pandemic.
Ideal, we want the communication to come from higher up. That's basically, we want the governor to be able to take control of it. We want the county to be able to say, here's what we want, because then we have so much more breadth. When we're doing it unilaterally, like we did with Pacifica and Half Moon Bay over the 4th of July, that's tough. That requires us having to communicate outward, and then the county has to get that message out. I did interviews with 10 different news stations to get the word out. It requires a lot more work. We had to talk to 8 different jurisdictions in Half Moon Bay to coordinate the effort. When we are stipulating that the beaches are closed, obviously we need people not to come to protect our constituency and our town.
We need people that are respected in the real community to make statement about social distancing, wearing masks, and if the virus is spiking right before a party day, we have to delay the party. This is not rocket science, and the people can grasp it. It just has to be presented properly.
And as you saw with Governor Newsom on July 4th, we had lobbied him to close the beaches, and he came out and said, no, we're just going to close the parking lots. We've learned from our experience, if the parking lots are closed, then everybody congregates in the neighborhoods, and that's not a good, so that's when we knew we had to shut the beaches.
in the city of Pacifica, we typically see record numbers on Memorial Day and 4th of July, and this year was even more so. And I think it's just because people were gagging to get out. So naturally, that's what prompted us to close our beaches this year. We also usually allow fireworks to be used on our beaches and our parking lots. And this year the council voted unanimously to put a moratorium on those fireworks being used on our beaches and our parking lots. So that made it even easier. And when the governor closed our parking lots, it was just a no-brainer. At Memorial Day, because the parking lots were closed, everyone was parking in the neighborhoods, which put our neighborhoods at a greater risk for contraction. We know that one of the leading causes of contraction of the virus is congregation of large groups of people. And again, when you're seeing record numbers of people on beaches, not masked, interacting, it's a very precarious situation.
Is 100 cars an hour, and that was a number given to me by the park ranger. We're just coming down Kelly and going right into this neighborhood that you can see behind me, and just parking wherever they wanted to, 100 cars an hour into this neighborhood. The conditions that resulted were really hazardous. An environmental disaster, bio-waste, human waste, trash, everything. Very unsafe driving conditions. Most people don't stop at stop signs. They park on the wrong side of the road. They block fire hydrants. And understandably, the sheriff was overrun. And there just weren't enough people to control the volume of guests.
4th of July closure of the beaches and parking lots 100% worked. We started on Friday, and you could see people coming down, and we had staff members at all the different locations, and we were telling people, the beaches are closed, and people would still walk by. Say, let me see what I'm gonna just do whatever. But then we had the police on the beach with their ATVs and Polaris's going back and forth and telling people.
Yes, from what I understand, I wasn't actually here 4th of July, but my neighbors who were all on this watch with me said it was much better. There still were people down there, but nothing like it was before. And the parking in the neighborhood was nothing like it was before. So yeah, that was effective, very effective.
So there was some pushback from the business community regarding closing down. And I think they became enlightened during the process to the extent that the best method, the best way to protect the business community is by paying strict attention to the medical opinion and the data and following the officials, so that when we need to close down, we close down and then reopen strategically with best health and safety practice. Other than that, we're putting our businesses at greater risk of elongated closings.
Well, I guess it's something that has to be done. It certainly hurts business. I mean, people come down to the coastside because they want to enjoy the beach and the water, and so it's a shame. I mean, it is a shame that that's what needs to be done, but can't wait till our life gets back to normal, that's for sure. So we were closed for 3 months, actually. The day after St. Patrick's Day, we closed down. We tried some to-go food. It didn't work out. So we just closed, and I wanted to keep my kids safe and myself safe as well, and my employees. And so we've been closed, and it's funny, people joke, oh, how was your 3-month vacation? And I'm like, if you call sitting around going broke a vacation, it's been rough.
We're actually closed on July 4th. We decided that we didn't want to be open because if there was going to be an influx of tourists, I thought it was risky to have our doors open. So for us, it was a decision of just being home, being safe. So it's had effects in various industries in various ways, but I'm just barely holding on, coming back from the ashes, as it were. So I'm thinking, we've heard that there's possibly another closure around the corner. And the only difference will be this time is that we are online, and we'd only just opened our doors as well here. We'd been open for 9 days when we had to shut our doors down.
When we realized we were going to be closing our beaches, I visited the top 3 benefactors, if you will, or those that benefit the most from the beachgoers, which are our 2 surf shops closest to the beach there, NorCal Surf and Traveler, as well as Soul Grind. And those rely heavily on our traffic from the surfers. And so just made sure that they knew that we were really appreciative of their flexibility, but for these next 3 days, we really just need to sit tight, and I thank them for their understanding. Unfortunately, if folks booked a hotel room long ago, they are probably sitting in their hotel room staring at an empty beach, and we're very thankful that they're hopefully abiding by the do not cross the sand rule this weekend.
So my family and I have been looking forward to a nice trip to the beach for 4th of July, and coming to the beach and seeing that all the beaches are closed is sad for our whole family. So we are going to make the best of it, and I'm happy that the restaurants are open. At least we can have a meal outside, so we appreciate that. But I do think it might be a little overreaction to close down the beach. But I think just getting my family out of San Jose and seeing a more unique, atmosphere, having the girls pick up shells and look at all the nature that's going on, and crabbing. We found some crabs, and I just think that that's not only educational for the kids to see these things, but I think it's therapeutic, and I think we need it to keep ourselves sane throughout this whole thing. We were on the beach today. The kids were climbing through the rocks, finding little treasures, and we were kindly asked to leave the beach because it was closed, and I respect the law and the rangers, but it was a real disappointment, and my children have been asking all day if we could go back to the beach. I think they've asked about 20 times if we could go back, so I do want to respect the law, but it did put a very kind of a damper on our vacation.
I think we learned from the Memorial Day weekend that in order to prevent the large crowds and the violations of the social distancing, we had to work with all the other agencies here on the coast and close all the beaches and trails, and it's been very effective. We have not seen the crowds that we would have expected otherwise, and I think most of the residents understand and are being patient with it.
I think in terms of folks coming to our beaches and congregating, that there's just a general desire to be outside and to be recreating and feel the fresh air and feel freedom from the constraints of our 4 walls that we're all blessed to have. And so I think there's a fair number of folks that just need to be outside. And I think there's a fair number of folks that just say, I will do what I want and you will not tell me what to do. Fortunately, here on the coast side, we have a lot of people that actually just get it. So the folks that maybe either are not getting it or feel the need to really be outside are not making it easy for us coastsiders, and it's going to be a fine line. I think it's all about risk and what levels of risk you're willing to take, but what we really need to do is flip that thought process and say, what level of risk am I willing to put other people at, and really start putting other people first in this situation.
And we want people to be able to be here and enjoy the beach. And this is probably one of the best places to social distance and be with family and friends and all the different aspects. So we don't want to cut that off, but we do want to protect our community.
Typically deal with. It's not an earthquake or a terrorist attack or a fire. It's something that is hard to understand, that there's conflicting information and evolving information, and unfortunately there aren't a lot of good answers right now about where this is going to go. For example, nobody can tell you dispositively if we're going to have a second wave, so-called. No one can tell you if you have antibodies, meaning you've been exposed, are you in fact going to be immune? And nobody can tell you for sure, despite speculation in the stock market, about whether there's going to be a vaccine, and if there is a vaccine, what kind of efficacy it might or might not have. So that leads us in public safety to really be in this awkward position of trying to come up with rules, regulations, and best practices to keep the general public safe while freely disclosing that nobody has all the answers, and we're going to really make it what we call a best efforts. Don't just sit and follow media left, right, and center. Don't be on your computer all the time. It's not good for your mind. And one of the biggest things that we have right now is a major increase in substance abuse, self-medication, drug abuse, drunk driving, reckless driving, and other self-destructive behaviors. So we often say that this sort of disaster is a marathon, not a sprint. So we'd like everybody to get ready for, unfortunately, what could be a long period of changes in the way we have to live our lives, and get ready to adapt to that as best you can.